Oh. Oh, no. No. Ah! Damn! Ugh! Ah!
Well, if it makes you feel any better, I wrote you a song.
Really?
Yeah. You suck.
Whenever I think of things that define my childhood, there are quite a few games that come to mind.
Same goes for me. There are many games that define my childhood that were actually quite different compared to yours.
One series that we've always been playing through together is the Street Fighter series.
When Street Fighter 4 first came out in 2009, we played that game for literally hundreds of hours together.
But blah blah blah, it's been a while since either of us have gotten into the Street Fighter series, which is why we are more than looking forward to the newest edition, Street Fighter 5. I would say this is the 5th entry in the series, but we all know there are like 10,000 different versions of each game.
Regardless, the newest console generation needs its Street Fighter, and it's finally here. Now it's our job to show you what you'll be getting out of the new Street Fighter, because we all know the combat will be the best to be found in fighting games.
The amount of content you'll get in this game as of now, however, well, that's gonna be a little different. Before we continue, you need to know that we are not good at fighting games even slightly.
We are not what some would say professionals at these games. We're just regular gamers who enjoy fighting games.
So if you're a hardcore player that's interested in detailed fighting info such as input latency, frame traps, or hit detection, then this is 100% not the review for you. If you're like us, however, a regular gamer that likes to play fighting games casually, then you may have possibly come to the right place.
Fortunately, because of Street Fighter 5, it might not be long until we become professionals ourselves.
Sin, let's face it, will never be that good.
Yeah, I know.
What immediately became clear when we first put in the game is that Street Fighter 5 is the best feeling fighting game we've ever played.
There seems to be a perfect amount of control in which your movement is as tight and fluent as it needs to be.
Punches and kicks land with such elegance and power, and combos and special moves can be pulled out so accurately that Street Fighter 5 is also the most addictive fighting game we've ever played.
It's also a lot of fun to watch experienced players fight against each other. When you have two players that know exactly what they're doing, the game almost looks like a dance.
What? How can you compare Street Fighter to a dance?
It's the way the characters move. The complex, visually beautiful combos that move fluently together on screen look absolutely stunning and interesting depending on the characters.
That actually makes a lot of sense.
Thank you!
The characters you play as in the game, similar to Mortal Kombat X, are fantastic. Even coming from someone who loves to pick and stick with favorites, I was highly encouraged to experiment with every single character.
Returning characters like Ryu, Ken, Cammy, and Bison are even more fun to play than before, but the new characters feel like they were a part of the franchise since the beginning. Fang is a cunning trickster that is the equivalent to a bird that actually has the ability to poison his opponents.
My personal favorite, Rashid, is an Arabic fighter that is fast, loves to bounce around the screen, and unleash random tornadoes.
Nash is reminiscent of Geely, and Laura seems to be a big fan of Lightning.
Nick Colley likes to play dirty. It reminds me of the series veteran Blanca.
By the way, where is Blanca? Or Geely, or Crimson Viper, or...
Oh, that reminds me. Street Fighter 5's roster is very small. I mean, very small. When Super Street Fighter 4 came out, it had almost 40 characters to choose from. Street Fighter 5 has 16, which is fairly disappointing.
On the upside, you can spend dozens of hours experimenting with each character just because of how deep and complex they are.
And luckily, Capcom had promised us that the new characters that are coming out in the future can be earned for free. While this is a pleasant benefit, fighting against the same small roster can get old pretty quickly. One of the biggest notable changes in the actual combat is the V system. Replacing Street Fighter 4's Ultra system, the V system works differently for each character.
By default, you'll fill up your V meter when you take damage. You can use the V system for two different things: V skills and V triggers.
For example, Ryu's V skill gives him the ability to parry attacks, while Birdie can eat a giant donut and then throw bananas on the ground. Yeah, weird.
V triggers are used when the V meter is full. Chun-Li's attacks will count as 2 hits instead of 1, and Rashid can launch this huge ass tornado.
The problem with the V system is that the game does an absolutely terrible job explaining how it works, and more importantly, what it does for each character. You have to then rely on the internet to inform you how they work for all of them.
Even if it is a pain to figure out how it works, the V system changes the way you play Street Fighter, especially for hardcore fighters, as you now have to develop a new habit on efficiently using your V meter while keeping an eye on your opponents.
So it's pretty clear that we think Street Fighter V's combat system is spectacular and improved, but here is where things go downhill. Like we said before, there are only 16 characters, which is not a lot. However, the fact that we are getting free characters in the future isn't as scummy as it could have been.
It's when you look at the rest of the game, however, that Street Fighter V truly feels unfinished. First of all, there is no campaign mode. What we have instead are little intro missions for each of the characters, full of rushed anime and boring, short rounds of combat. But guess how long the campaigns are? Less than 10 minutes each! And they aren't even fun!
Well, at least Capcom is giving us a proper campaign for free in June that's only 2 hours long. And besides the half-baked survival mode, the character story mode, and training mode, there's no way you can have a proper, regular match against the AI, which is completely unacceptable.
At least the training mode is one of the best training modes we've seen in fighting games.
Even considering that though, Street Fighter V is missing a lot of things when it comes to players looking for a few single-player components.
But the reason we play Street Fighter in the first place is so we could play against our friends as well as random people online.
Now let's get this out of the way. The online netcode is very strong and we encountered almost no network or lag issues when versing against players online.
It does suck that everyone playing online are professionals that are practicing to get ready for the tournaments, but that's our fault because we're not that good anyway.
It was a lot of fun playing online just so we could see what it's like to play Street Fighter with professionals, and we actually learned a thing or two playing with them. If you're a hardcore fighting game enthusiast, Street Fighter is also one of the best fighting games to play online. You just won't see us playing it that often.
When it comes to graphics, the game looks as good as one would expect, although not as good compared to Mortal Kombat X. The watercolored art style that they carried over from number 4 is beautiful and brings out the vibrant colors and personalities in all the characters.
The game runs very smoothly, which isn't much of a surprise for a fighting game. However, it's very odd to have the backgrounds of some of these levels have a slower frame rate compared to the action taking place in the forefront, and the two don't clash very well.
And then there's a soundtrack, and damn, George, you're right. Every single game that came out in the past few years has absolutely amazing soundtracks.
Yeah, that's right. There's some heavy metal-esque songs with tight double bass and distorted guitars, and there's some good techno songs mixed with dubstep, which may sound weird for a Street Fighter game, but it works very well.
Verdict!
Sin, you don't say the word verdict.
Then what am I supposed to say?
You're not supposed to say anything, you just let the music play.
That's lame!
I know, but that's just how these videos work.
Okay.
Street Fighter V looks and feels like the premium game it should be, but it is missing many features that is unacceptable.
The combat is some of the best to be found in any fighting game, and every single one of the characters, new and old, are a blast to play and experiment with.
But for the average consumer, there just isn't enough content to mess around with. A small roster, no campaign mode, no way to verse against AI in regular matches, and a lack of a proper tutorial when it comes to the V system is not enough to justify buying the game for full price.
Street Fighter V will eventually be a fantastic game for everyone, once they add features and extra characters in the future. However, for the time being, it feels like a platform for what's to come.
While Mortal Kombat X has more content and is ironically more casual friendly, Street Fighter V should have been released in June, where most of the game's content will already be there in the package. Regardless, Street Fighter V will be a fantastic game, one day. But for now, it is the most fun fighting game ever made. But that's it. Street Fighter V receives a 7.5 out of 10.
By the way, I want to thank you guys for listening to me be a part of a review for the first time. It was a lot of fun. Let me know in the comments below on what you thought of the video, whether it was with our opinion or how I did considering it was my first time.
Well, wanna say it? Thank you for watching,
And stay fresh!
Stay fresh!